Oh my God.
The king of the West!
That is the greatest way to ever start a podcast in the history of podcasts.
Incredible.
Welcome to the show, maybe, everybody.
It's live. It's going.
Okay, well, we're doing it. We're doing it. I have a guest. It's Emily Beutler, and I don't know what you're about to say, but I'm not gonna go there.
Okay.
I want to know so bad.
Maybe that's an after the show thing.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not trying to dive deep into your life. We're more about what you control where you want to go when it comes to you, okay?
Okay.
I don't need to know what makes you tick.
Okay.
Just what are things that help people with
I would love
Kratom.
that. Perfect.
Right. We can go deep into my life.
I'd love that.
I've already done that several times.
I feel like I know you now.
Yeah. I don't think anybody can sue me because if they could, they already would have.
Yeah.
Because I definitely talk too much about people that, if you were in my life, I'm going to mention you. And they.
I actually kind of wanted to talk about it.
About what?
Well, about Phil Freeze.
I have no problem with that.
The letter pissed me off.
The letter?
Yeah.
The letter you got from them?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is. See, that's the thing where I know the guy. I mean, I don't know the guy. I never met him face to face, but I was sponsored by the company. And it was introduced to me through, I believe, Fight People, I think. It was an MMA thing. And this is before I knew. It's weird. We did it on the Jason show when we were on satellite radio. A weightlifter guy came in him and his brother had been addicted to, I believe, pain meds or maybe even something more severe, or eventually got to that. And then they got off by using Kratom, which is a thing that people do. I'm aware of that. And he had the red ones and the green ones, and he was like, you got to try it. And one of the guys that worked for the channel that was like a boss of mine who I'd known since he was the one that got me the job at Sirius XM, Will Pendarvis, good guy, love the guy, was super adamant about not taking it and how serious it was. And myself and Tully laughed at him. And I was like, give me some of these things. And this is back when I was, drinking and using. At the time, I was like responsibly, because, there's levels to this game, like when you come up the way I came up, like, like I have jokes in my stand up, but, when I did cocaine, I made shapes of countries with my drugs. I didn't do a line. I would buy enough to make a shape of a country. That's how I did it. So like later on in life, where I would have some wine with dinner and smoke weed 24 hours a day, I'd got it taken care of. I had it handled, and then I had a heart condition. So I'm jumping. So the weightlifting guy, nice guy, gave me some. I took it. I couldn't even feel it. And I was like, oh.
And this is Kratom.
Yeah, I was like, and I took like whatever the pills were. And he's like, if you do the red ones, gives you energy. It's same as the weed thing, like sativa indica thing, where I'm like, shut up, just give me the weed. That's it. I don't care what one it is. I'll work out on indica. I'll go to sleep on sativa. Like, shut up. Nobody. That's my opinion. I'm sure maybe it's different for everybody, but I never really. In the end, I was like, what has the most THC in it? Give me that one. I don't care about the rest of it. And with the Kratom thing, when I first did it, I didn't feel it at all. So that was even more of a reason to make fun of it. And the only person I knew was this guy, Will, who was like very serious about, he would get annoyed, and we discovered that he would get annoyed. So we would bring it up more sarcastically to piss him off by saying, everybody should do Kratom. He's like, no, they shouldn't. It's very dangerous. And we were like, actually, I think it's really good. And we were joking because we didn't even think it worked. That's how stupid we thought it was. Yeah. And that was several years before, I think was I still that serious when Feel Free started? I'm not sure. I can't remember. I think it was around the time my podcasting started. But I have a heart that goes into AFib, and that was shocking stuff. First couple of times I wasn't sure what it was. I went to a doctor, got tested, I went to a cardiologist, and at one point I was diagnosed with Kawasaki disease. Someone said I had heart disease, and then I went to like one of the top specialists in the country and got all these tests, and he's like, "You don't have any of that." He's like, "You've just got a part of your heart is a little enlarged, and it can go into AFib." He's like, "A lot of people suffer from this. A lot of people that drink a lot get it around Christmas time. Like it's a thing that happens when people drink too much. And if you don't, if you can't get your heart to go back out of AFib, you can have a stroke." So the first couple of times it ever happened to me, I thought I was going to die. You know, like they were like, I think the first time that was heavy, I was in the hospital and they were like, "We're going to knock you out and we're going to electrocute your heart back into regular rhythm." And I was like, that's a guy that's dying as far as I'm concerned. So my life flashed before my eyes, and it was one of those times where I was like, I will not drink anymore. But I didn't go into the program or anything. I was just like, it's pretty easy not to drink if you think if you drink, you're going to die. So I was like, that'll do. What you don't realize, and if you're not an addict, that's not enough for addicts. Like if you could potentially die, it's not enough to stay sober. So that's when the last time it happened, I was like, right, that's it, I'm going to quit drinking. And someone said you could do kratom, and I was like, I've heard about that, but I'll do the shot. And that was when the feel freeze came, and I did feel it. And I was like, oh, it's nowhere near as good as a beer, but it's better than nothing. And I'll take anything I can get because I'm not allowed to have a beer. And I even asked my cardiologist, and he didn't know what kratom was. And he was like, I think that's okay. Because
when I was going through it, every doctor, I spoke to 3 different doctors because I had all these symptoms from kratom use.
Yeah.
None of them knew what kratom was.
Yeah, they really don't.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, but it's funny.
They might now because it's more prevalent and there's more.
I'm also less surprised that the medical world doesn't know things now because of my amount of injuries that I've had and having doctors do MRIs and telling me that I'm bone on bone and there's no cure for it. And I say, what about stem cells? And they go, well, that hasn't been proven to work. And I'm like, you know how I tore my MCL? Because my knees work again because I had stem cells. So you're incorrect. And they're like, well, it still hasn't been scientifically proven. I'm like, the voice that is on the phone with you right now is scientifically proven. Like it did work. Not to mention the other like 40, 50 personal friends that I know are not lying that can use their body in better ways now because of stem cells. Stem cells works.
And I know that.
That's it. So I will not be, you know, and I was like, wow, this is a person that went to school. This is a medical doctor telling me that it doesn't work. So he's not as smart as I thought he was, which made me doubt the whole industry now. Because I'm like, you're telling me that I can never do sports again, when in actual fact I can do sports, and you are incorrect. And you're supposed to be the guy that is the wiser of the two. So getting back to the kratom thing, I do these feel frees, and I'm starting to, you know, I'm an addict. So one's good. I'm doing them after I train, like people said. It's a funny thing. People go, you know, it's a great after workout drink, and I was like, so's heroin. You know, because like if you work out and then you do a little bit of heroin,
I've never done it.
you feel. Yeah, I have. You'll feel better. You know, like it's a fun. You're like, well, that's ridiculous. I'm like, I agree, it is, and so is kratom. Depending, I know this is an episode that could trigger people, so we have to. I'm going to explain myself over and over again, as I'm sure you understand. It got to the point where, you know, maybe 3 a day, 4 a day. And that went for a while. And then it started to turn to 5 or 6. When it got to 5 or 6, that's when I started to realize that there was a problem. Because I would wake up in the morning and feel hungover from them. And the only thing to fix that was to do another one. And that became where because of my addictive personality, I was aware that, oh no, we're doing it again with something that is like weaker. And like, I'm like, you can get these at the liquor store. Yeah. This is embarrassing that I need one of these. And my wife at the time, she started doing them, and I would get cases sent. I was sponsored. They paid me.
Oh, so you weren't spending like thousands of dollars on these
Well,
because people do.
I started to buy. They would only give me one case, and my wife at the time and I were smashing way more than that. So then I was going to the local liquor store and buying cases of them. And sometimes there were ones where they were off. They'd been in the sun, or they were older. I'm not sure what it was, but I started to understand the different kinds, and they would fizz up, like they would fizz and like explode a little bit when you'd open them, and they tasted really bad. They already don't taste good. These ones were like dry reaching, and again at the time I could not understand
Why you
that
kept
they were
picking 'em?
so bad, and I still drank it. I took them. This is embarrassing. I took them to Colombia. I don't even know if that's legal, but I took cases of them to Colombia when I went to get the stem cell treatment,
Yeah.
and drank them every day while I was in Colombia. And they were like, you do a plant-based diet, you don't drink alcohol. And I was like, well, this is kratom.
And they weren't worried about it.
They didn't know. I didn't tell them. I was like, this is herbal.
Yeah.
Why would I mention it? It's like drinking dirt water. Like, it's not a bad thing. And there were times
Some of them a day.
there were times there where I threw up. It was later on after I got divorced, and my manager started to catch on. Every now and then I would go to the bathroom and throw up, and she was like, "Did you just throw up?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Sometimes I do too much kratom, it makes me sick." And she's like, "You don't think that's a problem?" And I was like, "No. Like, let's go. I'm going to the show. Like, don't worry about it."
I was in such denial about it too for so long.
It seems like that's kind of a part of the puzzle, where a lot of people do this thing where they say that it's not that bad, and until
Well, I think because there is so much, especially. So mine was 3 years ago. I don't know how long ago you were using.
I've been sober for in
So
20 days, 2 years.
awesome.
Yeah.
But so when I started, like most everything I read about kratom was positive.
Bring that microphone
Oh.
closer.
So most of everything I read when I first started taking kratom was positive. Like it's great for stress.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Depression, anxiety, energy. It's a great natural pain reliever. A lot of people would take it for pain. And so I thought I was doing something healthy.
Me
And
too.
then until people started being concerned, and also me having side effects, then I was like,
What were your side effects?
super irritable, really bad brain fog.
Yeah.
Like I started not being able to sleep through the night without waking up and taking more kratom.
Yep.
When I'd wake up, like I felt like a zombie until I would take it.
Yeah.
So the first doctor I went to said, and I would have restless legs at night. Like if it had been too long since I had my last dose, I'd get restless legs. And I told him, I said, I am taking kratom a few times a day. And it was probably more than that, but
Yeah.
that's what I told him. And he goes, no, and then that's fine. That's not it. He goes, this all sounds very hormonal.
Oh, wow. Your vagina did it, huh?
Well, I had a baby months before. So he goes, this is all kind of normal. Like your body's just readjusting.
Wait, you had a baby and then you got into kratom?
I started kratom before I got pregnant. I took, and this is, obviously something I'm not proud of, but I took
You
kratom.
didn't know.
Well, I had my suspicions because my heavy use didn't start until after the baby, because I joined on Facebook. There was a group with thousands of women. It was called Kratom and Pregnancy. And thousands of women were taking kratom while pregnant. And
Wow.
most of them said, like, thank God for kratom. I wouldn't have gotten through this pregnancy without it.
Wow.
But there were some that said, like, make sure that you wean off before you give birth, because when you give birth, like, the baby will have withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that does make sense.
yeah. But everybody said, like, besides being born with withdrawal like your baby withdrawing. Like there's no, but also there's no, I don't think people have been using kratom all that long. So there's really no data. So I was very cautious about it. I was trying not to take it every day, like only like in really bad situation, like high anxiety situations. But I was taking it. And I will tell you that, so my baby was born not breathing, but it wasn't because of kratom. And then I even asked my doctor, I said, I like have all this guilt. Like I feel like this is my fault. I was taking kratom. And it was because of the umbilical cord not getting.
Oh.
So the baby was in the NICU, and I remember having so much guilt. But what I will say is the baby I just had last summer was born with spina bifida, and had I been doing kratom and she was born, that's all I would have. I could have never lived with myself.
I got a friend that has spina bifida, and he is one of the most legendary skateboarders in the world.
Are you serious?
Steve Caballero.
I'll have to look him up. That's so cool.
Just saying.
Yeah.
It's not gonna. It didn't stop here. He's 60. He's 60, and he's
killing it.
He's the greatest 60-year-old skateboarder alive. There's not even a question about that. But his career is there's only one more person that has a more illustrious career than him, and that's Tony Hawk. Steve Caballero is number 2 out of all people.
Yeah, I know nothing about skateboarding, but I gotta look this guy
Google
up.
him. He's a sweetheart too. Good
I
guy.
gotta tell you,
he rides Supercross still. He rides moto and skates.
When I got the diagnosis for my daughter, I was 20 weeks pregnant, and I Googled, because I didn't know what spina bifida was. I Googled it and saw images, and it was people in wheelchairs. And then when I went to read about it, it said like they don't usually live past 40, and I just broke down. But I've now learned that's all old information, misconceptions, and every case is different.
It's funny because I learned about it from Steve Caballero.
Yeah.
I was like, he has a bent. His neck's a little bent. And I was like, what's his neck like that for? And someone was like, you don't know? And I'm like, I don't know. He got spina bifida. And I'm like, what's that? And then, you're talking to a guy with no education that was like, I love skateboarding so much, I will learn about spina bifida through Steve Caballero. And like there were certain tricks he couldn't do because he couldn't look to the side. And then he ended up figuring it out. Like he just pushed through. Yeah. And that's like one of those stories where it's like you can have, you can have difficulties in life, but if you push through, you can do things. You can do just as much as anybody else. It's all mental. You can push through anything. Yeah. Because he's, like I said, like at this point in the game, 60-year-old people that can do what he does at Tony's ramp. There's most people in skateboarding at 15, 25 can't do what he can do now. Let alone what he can do on a dirt bike. Like, he's an incredible athlete still. Amazing person. So, yeah.
There's different forms of spina bifida.
Right.
But, yeah. Yeah, but it is crazy. And there's also, so there's thousands and thousands of people on, like, these Facebook groups and these Reddit groups. And they're one side or the other. Either pro-kratom or anti-kratom. But there is, like, a group of kratom sobriety on Facebook with like 40,000 followers.
Okay.
Of people like trying to get off kratom.
Okay.
But yeah, there is also one with thousands of women who are pregnant taking kratom.
Well, let me talk about this thing we brought up earlier in the show, before the show started, about the psychosis thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really familiar with I've heard about things like that. I've heard about marijuana can do that. I remember Andrew Huberman saying, the marijuana now is so strong that it can cause psychosis. And you're talking to a guy, I've been smoking weed since I was like 11, and I'm like 54. I've had no marijuana in my system for 2 years. Yeah. Every other part of my life I've had it in me. And I'm like, am I the most stable person I've ever met? No. Like, would you say psychotic? No. Like, maybe I think people have gone, Jason's psychotic at skateboarding, or he's done things that are dangerous to the point where it's like he's psychotic, not. They're not clinically saying, I am a madman, like, watch out. But now that I'm sober, I was telling you before the show, there are things that I did that I look at now where I don't really know who that person is, like I don't really I
And
don't
that
relate
was
to
with
that.
mixing marijuana and kratom together, the things you were doing.
I think it got. I think
You
I was
wanna-
already pretty bad, but when it came to the kratom, my biggest thing with it was I've always been about me. I've always been very not narcissistic, because I got confused with that for a while. I used to think that I was a narcissist, and then a friend of mine was like, "Do you care? Like, why do you think you're a narcissist?" And I was like, "Because my ex-wife called me one." And she was like, "Right, but do you care about that?" And I was like, "Yeah, like I hate myself for like the things I've done." She's like, "Well, just so you know, that's not a narcissistic trait. Like you're not
Yeah.
you're like, if you're aware of the things that you do, that's kind of like that kind of like gets you out of that." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm just an asshole that's like consumed with himself." I'm very now that I've done a lot of work thanks to, going to meetings and stuff, like I have done a lot of stuff. Didn't feel loved as a child, for whatever reason. It's not my parents' fault. They were raised a certain way too. But I do things that make me look cool. One, because it keeps me busy. I don't want to face myself. I don't want to face my childhood. It's another thing that I use to run. Like if I'll do a stunt, it's dangerous. If I focus very hard on accomplishing something, that's also a way of running for me. Like I got a target. I go for it until I get it, and then as soon as I get it, I got to get another target, because I don't want to be stuck here with just like, oh,
Myself.
yeah, just with me, like, oh. So all those things, that's the most confusing thing now, because I'm old. Now I'm like, I'm a comedian, podcast. Everyone's like, you've done this, you've done that. What are you going to do next? And I'm like, be happy. Like, I don't really care. Like this show, I was trying to tell you, like the people like it better when you do this. And I'm like, I don't care what you think. Like I do this show now. It costs me money. It doesn't make me money. It costs me money. But I know that every episode I do, the ones that I do by myself, it helps one person. Without fail. Sometimes 20, sometimes 100. But at least one person goes, man, I really appreciate you talking the way you do, because it's helped me with my sobriety or with my addictions or with my relationships or whatever it is. Because I have messed up everything and I've got past it.
I think there's great healing in other people's stories. Like if somebody can relate to you and see how you healed or that you got past it and what you're doing now.
Right.
Like it's inspiring and knowing like I can do that too.
And it's more important than money and fame. And that's the other thing. I'm very fortunate. I have had money and I have been kind of famous. So I didn't read it in a book. I had it. And I can tell you that it's not.
Doesn't make you happy.
It didn't make me happy at all. I've said this story before. At one point I did Ellis Mania at the Hard Rock, sold it out, 3,000 people. There was a lady that walked in front of me in the Circle Bar, and she had my name tattooed on her. There's people that have named their children after me. I was making $1 million a year. And after the event, I went back to my room. Everybody wants to sleep with me, which I thought that was cool as well. And I was not happy. And I was like, wait, this is everything I ever wanted. And I'm not happy.
I've had that too.
And then I lost my job at Sirius. I got divorced. I can't afford to pay everybody. I pay everybody. I have back credit card tax things where I'm just like sunk. I'm about to declare bankruptcy, and I'm digging my way out of it now. But I've never been happier with like nothing. Like I still have. I have a house. I have a girlfriend. Like I have beautiful pets. My friend lets me see her horse every day. Like she's like, it's our horse now. I kind of have a horse, and he's a glorious horse. Like to me, it's like a rich person's horse. He's a very stunning, excellent horse. So I'm very lucky with all these other things, but it's not about that. It's because I've done the work. I don't run. If bad things happen, like to everybody, I never run from any of it.
Do you feel like you are content now in like day-to-day life, or do you still feel like you need something, like something's missing?
Oh, no, nothing's missing. Okay. The hardest thing for me is my children. My children live with their mother.
Yeah.
They don't live with me at all. They don't see me anywhere near as much as they used to. And I know that they're 16 and 20 and they're at the ages now where they're busy seeing their friends.
Yeah.
And they see their mother more kind of I mean, she has a lot of money, so like she took her my daughter away to London the other day, and I'm like,
How am I going to compete with that?
Yeah, I can't even like buy if I buy her a birthday gift, it's like not going to be good, you know, because I'm not rolling in it anymore. So that plays with me a little bit, but also they say things now that they've never said to me about how proud they are of me for being sober and how much better of a person I am, which kind of feels good and hurts because I'm like, well, that means that I could have been better when they were younger.
Do you think maybe that's why they're not around now?
Because of
Do you think like the past they hold a grudge or like?
maybe,
Yeah.
you know, like, and I wouldn't blame them.
Yeah.
You know, there's some things that I did when it comes to sex and being on the radio and talking about it and having an OnlyFans where I did stuff and some of the kids sent it to them. So
Yeah.
they have been picked on at school for what I have done. And it's, why did I do that? Like, because I was only thinking about me. I wasn't thinking about them.
Yeah.
And that's a terrible parent. And I have to face it. That's a thing that I am guilty of. I did that. And if I have to pay for it for the rest of my life, which it looks like I am, then that's what's going to happen. They're beautiful kids. They're good people. But
I'm sure they still love you.
They do. They do. I don't think that, I do believe they love me. I'm just being honest where that's the thing that bugs me the most about my life is, hey, what are you up to today? And they're like, I'm busy, you know. And I'm like,
well, that's also the age.
I know. And their mother has also said that. She's like, just so you know, like if they had their own houses, they wouldn't see me either. Like they're busy doing their thing. But it does, because of my past, I can't help thinking maybe you'd have a better relationship if you weren't all about yourself so much, you know?
Yeah.
In the past. So all I can do is be a good father now.
Can't go back.
Yeah, I can. Right.
Learn lessons.
But apart from that,
yeah, everything's good.
Yeah, everything's really good. You know, my girlfriend is.
She's cute.
I'm so lucky, which is funny that doesn't mean anything, but I appreciate that. But it's got nothing to do with me. I love her because of who she is, not because of what she looks like. And old me, I'll be honest, that meant like 10%. If you're cool, that's cool. But like, are you hot? And do you want to have sex with a lot of people all the time? That was like that's the go-to for me. Yeah. And now it's like, is she a good person? Yeah. In 2 years, what I've done compared to the other 50.
So what got you off marijuana and kratom? Like, what was the turning point there?
Divorce.
Your wife. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it wrecked me.
You just knew something had to change, or you had to change.
I didn't want to live anymore. The only reason I didn't off myself is because I was like, if you off yourself, that's the last thing you're going to do for your children.
That's selfish.
Yeah. And I'm like, have you not been, you're already the most vulgar display of selfishness I've ever seen. You know, I'm like a failed Rod Stewart of sorts, where it's just like, you know, you're people like us that, you know, what's next? What am I going to do? What am I, me? I'm going to win. I'm going to get money and everyone's going to love me. And it's like, what about your kids? You're just thinking about yourself. You're on the road, you know, you're hustling to make the next big thing. And I'm like, or you could have been home. You know, there was times there where I took my kids, you know, everything. I never said, no, I'm not taking you. Yeah. But I did it reluctantly. Like I went to soccer games. I took them all to all the games.
But
I didn't want to go there. I wanted to get high. Yeah. I couldn't wait for it to end and them to go back to their mothers so that I could get high again. Yeah. And that's a crappy dad, you know? So now the price is, well, now you want to hang out with them and they're busy doing their thing, you know? So it's suck a
But you know what's cool is I feel like I'm closer with my dad now than I ever was. And now he gets to be a grandpa and he's an amazing grandpa. He actually said he enjoys being a grandpa more than he did a father.
I've heard that too. It's funny. I have heard that and I'm really looking forward to that day when that switch flips. But right now it hasn't. Jason Ellis here from Jason Ellis Show 2.0. Greatest show sweeping the nation. Everybody's downloading it. I'm huge now. Let's talk about sweat. I'm a guy that sweats more than anybody I've ever met. I challenge anybody to a sweat off. Seriously. Heavyweight champions of the world, you will not beat me. I am undefeated in sweating. And I don't stink. Because I use Mando. People say to me, why do I use Mando? Well, because they sent me a bunch of stuff and I tried it. I don't stink. One swipe and you're good to go. They got deodorant wipes, man. That is like a game changer for me. Because sometimes I skate and then I drive and then I train and then I drive and then I do a podcast. And yes, do I sweat doing a podcast? I shouldn't admit it, but yep, I do. It doesn't mask odor. It prevents it. 100% studies and participants experienced all-day odor protection. Wow. Mando uses premium ingredients. Well, obviously. Otherwise, how would it not work? I mean, how would it work? Tackles both odor and sweat. I know. So check out Mando's, everybody. Mando's deodorant. And use me codes, mate. All me codes, me connections. It comes in a solid stick deodorant, cream, tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for my listeners, new customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Use code Ellis, like my last name, ELLIS, at shopmando.com for 20% off. Site-wide, free shipping. shopmando.com. Please support our show, my show, and tell them I sent you. Mando's got you covered with deodorant plus sweat control. Say goodbye to sweat stains and say hello to long-lasting freshness. But yeah, those.
I do have another question.
Okay.
I mean, you didn't really tell like how you got off of it, but when you said you were basically suicidal,
yeah,
had you stopped taking kratom? And I asked this for a specific reaon.
It definitely got worse before it got better. So when I first did, so I didn't know anything about Quick K or anything. It was actually Andrew Huberman. I called him. Yeah. Once again, very lucky to have somebody in my phone that level, who I trusted. And I was like, dude, I'm losing it over here. Like, I've lost my job. I've lost my wife. I've lost my family. I'm just here in this house by myself, and I've got to quit. And I tried at once, and at one point, and that made it even more terrifying because the withdrawals were worse than I thought they would be. And I was like, oh no, like I'm sick. I can't even respond. I can't have a conversation with anybody when I don't do this for a whole day. Like, I can't talk.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else in my life. And he goes, look, some people wean themselves off, and that's usually a good way. But he's like, for you, he's like, I know you. You're a tough guy. You can take it. He said, white knuckle. He said, you can white knuckle it. And I was like, what? And he's like, it's going to be like 3 days, real bad. He's like, get out, get away from everybody, lock yourself up, white knuckle it, and you'll be good. And
he's way smarter than I am, but that's not the advice I would have given.
Yeah, because now that I've no,
because what I thought when you're saying you're suicidal, what I thought your experience was like post-acute withdrawal syndrome. So after you quit kratom or any opioid-like substance, like, you don't have the hit on your opioid receptors, so you have no dopamine. Like, people go into big depressions, even if their wife didn't leave them, or even if nothing bad is happening. Like, I was suicidal after I quit kratom. I'm
glad that it was like that because it made it easier for me to not go back.
Yeah.
Because of how hard, I was in the middle. My ex-wife was still living in the house, and I got an Airbnb and did 4 days. And on the third day, I didn't eat. I could barely sleep. I would pass out for a few seconds, wake up.
Yeah.
I started rocking back and forth for maybe 2 weeks. If I was ever still, I would catch myself doing it and stop doing it. But if I didn't catch myself, I was tweaking. On the third day, I had the heater on. It was like 84 degrees in this Airbnb. I had a hoodie on, sweatpants,
cold
covered in a
chills.
blanket, and I was like, my wrist started locking up. My hands, like my wrist would lock in like this to my chest, and I couldn't open my hands. And I wanted to roll a joint, and I couldn't make my hands open to
That's
roll a
scary.
joint. So I was like, I'll turn the jacuzzi on, and I'll get in the jacuzzi and heat myself up enough for my hands to open. And when I went to go out there, this was the worst part. I started to like have like a little bit of a seizure of sorts where I was like, I'm now like, I can't control anything. And I
Seizures are
couldn't get
very
in the
common.
jacuzzi, and I sat down next to it. It was like red brick ground, and I fell to my side, and I was on my side, and I didn't, my manager at the time, she didn't say it until like a week later, but she was like, I was about to call an ambulance because I thought you were, about to like die. And so I don't recommend this technique, but I hit my head on the concrete on purpose to like stun myself, to like
Wake yourself
loosen.
up.
Yeah. So I hit my head on the ground, and it kind of loosened me up a little bit. So I dragged myself in the jacuzzi with all my clothes on, and it heated up enough for me to like thaw out. And then I rolled a joint with like wet hands, made like this really sketchy doobie, and smoked it. And it kind of got me enough to go to not go to hospital.
Wow.
And I'm crying, and it was all the bad with no good. It was just all
You know-
everything bad that's ever happened to me was just like hitting me, and that it was all my fault. So there was just so much sorrow and pain. And my body was screaming to have some kratom, screaming. And then when I made it through that, the next day I was like, I still had withdrawals for, I think it was 36 days. I went to meetings. I was so sad. I was still trying to do stand-up comedy, and I was like going to shows, and people were
Right.
like, "What's wrong with you, man?" I'm like, I don't really see the point of living anymore. Like people would go, "Wow, dude! Like, why
You
are
came
you
to
here?
laugh.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing?" And I don't know how I have any friends, honestly. Like, I definitely lost most. That was the other thing. Most of my friends were my ex-wife's friends, and they stopped hanging out with me because I cheated on her. And when I cheated on her, she was like, "I want a divorce," and I was like, "Good," because I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to communicate with her. I was like, I'd rather you leave than try to
Have
sort
talk
this
about
out,
this.
because I don't have any energy to hear I didn't feel sorry for her until months later. And then I regretted it deeply, and she fell in love with somebody else, and that was the end of it. There's no coming back. I lost her for good. And that was like somebody that I thought I was going to die with, And you know why? Because of me, not her. It's all me.
Have you ever heard of like an addict like becoming sober and having like a spiritual awakening?
I did.
Yeah, it's common. Like
I don't know. I wish it had been sooner, but I definitely had a spiritual awakening from doing. I'm a guy that I have Hail Satan tattooed on my neck, Emily. I'm an angry boy, like very angry.
to me, you kind of seem like a teddy bear.
Because it was always in there. It was always in there, but there was this thing where I got this from therapy. Like I made this to protect the inner child.
Yeah.
That was
I-
used and hurt,
Yeah.
And I built this because it's like,
So
you try
scare
to do
people.
something to me
Don't fuck with
again,
me.
you got the wrong guy now. Like you try to touch little Jason, big Jason's going to be here and he's going to wreck shop, which is like, it's not who I am. I'm not a violent person. I don't like hurting people. Even when I had pro fights, like I want to win, but I don't want to hurt you, Like the last fight, the pro fight I had, his arm was breaking and I was begging him to tap and he wouldn't tap. And when he finally, he was screaming,
So
and
you
the
broke
ref,
his arm.
yeah, and when the ref, when the ref broke it up, I tried to console the guy, and the ref was like, "Get off him," and I was like, "But his arm," And then I saw the interview before, and the guy was like, "This guy thinks he's gonna beat me. I'm gonna be like." He spoke very, very meanly about me, and I was like, "He's a really tough guy. I mean, we're gonna put on a show." Like, I didn't want anything bad to happen to the guy. I felt terrible. So I'm not that guy. And I know people in fighting, they want to hurt people for whatever reason.
I can tell from what I've listened to on your episodes that you do really care about people. Like you
I
do want
do.
to help
It's
people.
it's not. It's but that makes it worse because when you realize the way I've lived my life, how I've always been about me, you know, like I have deep regret about my ex-wife and how I treated her. And then it went further. I have deep regret about my kid's mother, and we're way past, we were never supposed to be with each other. And I love her now. Like we're friends again. I'm going to Thanksgiving at her house. That would have never happened. I would have never asked. She would have never allowed it.
That's
And now
awesome.
she's like, who you are now is amazing. And yes, you and your girlfriend can come over. We'd love to have you. That if you had told me that in any other period of my life, I would have laughed
That
in
would
your
never
face.
happen.
Like there's no way. Who did somebody offer me $1 million to do that? Because that sounds like I used to hate hanging out with the in-laws. I used to hate anybody that wasn't high and trying to have sex. If you weren't doing those two things, it was like
You're boring.
it was not boring. It was torture. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to be in the room with you. You were so gay. I hated you. And now I'm like gay. Also, I did a lot of gay stuff because at one point, you know, no offense to the gay community, but like it's a lot of guys, you know, they'll just have sex with people and you don't have to.
So were
Talk
you
or-
not gay? You just did it for the sex?
Yeah. Yeah, I
So it
have
was just to have sex.
I have no interest in that at all. I kind of cringe about it, which also makes it difficult because I did it. I talked about it. There's video of it. I did it on OnlyFans.
I won't
People
look it
know.
up.
People hate. Please don't. I try to get as much of it as erased as possible, but some of those guys just kept using it. They don't care. And that's not their fault. Like that's the other thing, from doing the work. I don't blame anybody. You know, if my ex-wife hates me, if her friends hate me, I don't blame them. I'm not mad at them.
Yeah.
I was an asshole. So
And guilt
Fair.
and shame and regret, it does you no good.
right, I've let people. I was abused by a lot of people when I was a kid. I forgave them, and people were like, "How could you do that?" I'm like, because carrying it.
It's like hurt people.
It
hurt
just
people.
makes me suffer, and I've paid my dues. I don't need to suffer anymore. Like I want to be happy for being alive, not because I got $1 million or because something cool happened. I sold tickets to a show or everybody loves my podcast. Like these are fake feelings. Like what is real. That's why going back to my kids, when my
That's
kids want to
important.
hang out with me, or I spend time or I have an interesting conversation with either one of them, that lasts forever. There's no, when it goes away, I need another one. Like that's just like forever. The conversations I have with my girlfriend, because she's sober too, and she's like a level-headed, beautiful person, and is like, I can tell what's going on with you right now. Come outside, let's pray for a second and be, like, what are you grateful for? And it like calms me down and makes me realize, and I'm like, oh my God, I have somebody in my life that like can catch that and like help me with these struggles that I've never had in my life. I've never had anyone that would understand that.
Who you choose as your life partner is like the most impactful thing on your mental health.
Right. And I think I was always, I don't want this to sound like I'm negative towards any of my partners. I don't blame any of them. I just know that what I'm looking for now is not any of that. And because the things that I was looking for, I'm not sure, but I got a funny feeling my ex-wife didn't want to do any of the things she did either. Like, I think if I was me now, she would have been like, I like this Jason. Like, I'm like, I don't want to sleep with a bunch of people. She'd be like, good. But at the time, she was like, we should sleep with other
Because
people.
you thought you wanted.
I don't know that for sure, but I do have a
Probably.
funny feeling that is kind of the case. So I kind of built her into this thing that was something she didn't want to be.
Yeah.
But all that hurt, and that's why all the work, I used to pray and I didn't know who I was praying to. I was just so desperate because I was like, if you don't do all this work and take advice from these other sober people, even though some of it seemed like a crock, I just kept doing it over and over again until one day it became super apparent that I now have answers. You know, like I pray for answers to do the right thing. And it's actually, I got knocked out skating. It was this weird story. I've told it before, but I prayed not to get hurt this day because I knew I was going to push it. And I got knocked out. And I woke up, and Tony's there like, hey, man, where are you? And I'm like, oh, man, I got knocked out again, huh? And he's like, yeah. He's like, just so you know, I've been asking you for the last 15 minutes. You didn't know who you were. So it was a good one, and I've been knocked out like over 30 times. So a lot of hits. And then I waited a couple of hours and I drove home, and the whole time driving home, there was a voice that just said, kill yourself. And I've been knocked out a lot. So like, I understand when you get a concussion, there's like a dark part of it. I used to cry. I get knocked out. If I got knocked out real good, if I had a shower, it would make me cry. Or if it rained, it would cry. And I wasn't sad.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, your mood has shifted from hitting your head. Like, this is serious stuff. And this time there was this voice, and I was like, man, you've hit your head hard. This voice is really going. And it went, and this is back when I was like still very depressed, It's so weird. I had a podcast with Tony Hawk, and it was the worst time of my life. And I'm like, this is the greatest job you could ever have. And I was like, yeah, it's okay. So that night, it's telling me all night. I'm sitting on this couch by myself, hearing this voice tell me to kill myself. This is like 8 hours from hitting my head to when I went to bed. This is a long time. I wake up in the morning, and a voice was like, you'll be all right, man. Like, you hit your head, eat some food, get some rest, take it easy. You'll be okay. And it was a voice where it was the complete opposite of the other voice. And to me, it was the first time where I was like, the thing that I pray to talked back. And the other voice was the voice that I've been listening to my whole life. It's the darkness. And the darkness helped me. When I got angry, because of this is a weird thing to say, but being molested as a kid helped me. It gave me strength that a lot of people don't have. When you skate and you break your arm, a lot of people quit. I never thought about quitting. Like, I was not, I was scared of getting hurt just like anybody else, but I was willing to commit. And it made me one of the better vert skaters in the world. I was top 10 in the world for a long time. And I was a fearless guy, full of fear, but I always faced it because you think this is bad? Imagine having like the person you idolize do things to you that you don't want to do, that is going to make you do other things. Because a womanizer, I was a womanizer for decades without knowing that it was hurting anybody. Like, I'm like, what's the big deal? I sleep with you, then I sleep with her. Who cares? I'm breaking people's hearts. I'm breaking people's hearts that I love the most on this planet. My ex-wives, girlfriends. I've loved people, and I can say it now. Like, I love the shit out of my exes. I still do. Whether I want to live with them or not is a different story, but I love them. They're great people. And I hurt them. I hurt them more than anyone's ever hurt them before. I did that because of this other stuff. But because of all those things that I went through, and because of those, like, the skateboarding gave me this confidence. I was not a good athlete. I turned myself into like an athlete, a high level athlete. That I got to meet all these other cool people in the world, Tony Hawks, and
you've lived a big life.
I have, and I wouldn't have if that terrible stuff in the beginning hadn't have happened.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that stuff, and now that I'm on the other side of all of that, that's the other thing. Like, if it wasn't for getting sober, and if the kratom was the worst one. And because I fought kratom and it was so terrible to do by myself, when I got past it, I was like, you should just quit weed. Because weed, I've never been able to quit weed. Because it's just
that
like,
was your thing.
Yeah. I'm like, I always just say, I do it for your sake. I'm an easier person to deal with when I do it. I quit that and I was like, what about sex? I wonder if that's a thing. And I would never have tried to quit having sex with a lot of people if I hadn't have quit the weed, and I wouldn't have quit the weed if I hadn't have quit the kratom.
So it's like, if I can quit this, I can quit that.
The kratom triggered me to become the person that I am today, which is 1,000% better Jason than I've ever been. So I'm very grateful for all this stuff, and that's why I don't mind. I'll do a podcast where if it doesn't do big numbers, I don't care. I don't think a lot of people are talking the way I talk because a lot of people haven't lived, especially being a man. Like you're like this manly man. It's like you did stuff with guys, and I'm like, yeah.
I think most people are so much more censored than you. And
I know
they don't
why.
tell like
See, this is the other thing. I don't want to say it's courageous. People think it's courageous.
It is though. To like spill your whole heart
It would be if you
and secrets.
I wasn't thinking. I'm being honest. I'm a guy that it just comes flying out, and I'll regret it later if I have to. There were many times there after I had talked about being bisexual that I regretted it 100%. I wish I hadn't have told anybody. I wish I had have kept it to my chest and never let anybody know about any of it because people judged me. I lost friends. People still to this day on social media, I know it's not real world, but people hate me for being bi. People
because it
know,
wasn't who they perceived you as, or
maybe that, but also the image of a guy that does things with other guys is bad.
Like,
it makes you weaker. Or even if you're a Christian, it's like a sin. You know, there's a lot of people that I've had conversations with where, you know, they didn't mean it, but they really hurt me, you know, because they're like, I love you, man, but like you're a sinner, you know? And I'm like, I'm not, what? I am? You know, and it's like, yeah, man, like that's just not the thing to do. And I'm, you know, and then my kids having to deal with that stuff. That's the biggest one to me. Like,
well, is it very Christian to make other people feel like shit?
I get what you're saying, and I agree with you, but I also, again,
yeah.
I don't judge people for their bad doings upon me.
Yeah.
Your angle is your parents raised you to believe this thing and you're standing by it.
Yeah.
And you think what I'm doing is a sin according to you. And I'm not taking it personal. That's you. Because if I take it personal, then I'm coming for the church. That's why this was tattooed on my neck. Because I was so mad. And I was like, I'm a sinner. You're a bitch. How about that? You know, and I'm like, dude, you're angry at people that are, you know, because the people are angry now because I'm sponsored by Black Rifle Coffee and they're American and they're the troops, and people are like, those guys are homophobic, and I'm like, those guys know my background and they sponsor me, so I'm not too sure about that one. But you know, live a conservative lifestyle, and they're like, oh, you said the word conservative. And I'm like, look, politics aside, please. I just think that as a guy that slept with everybody and did all that stuff, I was never happy, and I never met anybody that was living that life that was content. I live a life where I sleep with one person. I'm very happy with just that one person.
Yeah.
My life is a lot easier. I don't hurt anybody anymore. Do you know how many apologies I have to make now? None. I never, and if I have to, I will. But I don't burn bridges anymore. I don't hurt anybody anymore. And it feels really good. And it also gives me no reason to run from anything because I'm not an asshole. So I don't need to smoke weed. I don't need to sleep with anybody. I don't need to do kratom. I don't need to run from my reality because my reality is actually quite pleasant. And that's from the work. It's from living this life where I'm like, I was trying to tell you earlier, there was a time there where I could not get it out of my head. I have to sleep with as many people as I can as whenever I'm conscious. It's just who wants it? Who can I get it to? I'm using apps. I'm just busy. I'm like, what about your job? What about your friends?
Yeah,
what about your family? Like, yeah. Like, what were you thinking about? Like writing a joke? No. I was thinking about sleeping with somebody. Now it's just not in there, which is going the higher power thing where it's like God hit me with
everything,
with love for myself, because I think that's the biggest thing is like I have my list of people that I had to apologize to, and I put me on the bottom, and in the end that was the one that should have been the top one because it was the hardest one. My ex-wives accepted my apologies. I didn't even expect them to accept my apology. I just knew that I had to say it.
I bet that felt good for them though, to realize.
I hope
know
so.
that they realized that you had hurt them, and you know that.
I really do hope so. I know that I still annoy my last ex-wife from.
How many ex-wives do you have?
3.
Oh.
One doesn't really count. One was like 2 years or something. It was like I married her because I was with another girl for like 10 years and she met another guy behind my back. So I married her best friend.
A revenge marriage.
Yeah. And then she beat me for smoking weed. And that was like a whole thing. So I don't feel bad. We didn't have any kids. We didn't really do any. It wasn't real. So that wasn't really bad. But, my children's mother, we were together for like 12 years. I love the crap out of her. She's a great person. Also, got very lucky because my selection of women, she's the most level-headed. She's a good mom, and I could have impregnated somebody who would not like what she has in her heart and in her mind. For what I was walking around with was pretty lucky because I was just like, be rad, and somehow I ended up
Your
having
angels
children.
were looking out for
They
you.
really were because my kids are great people. And look, I'm a good person. I get it. Sure, I had something to do with it, but they're good people because their mother is a good person.
Oh,
that's really
great.
how that is, And then with my last wife, I love the hell out of her. But when I met her, I was so dark and so infatuated with evil. And
I mean, she probably wasn't in the best place either, though, if she was trying to please you and
definitely,
and also drinking cases of.
I really hope that the scars that I put on her and the person that she's with now, she would never put up with that again because of what I did.
Yeah.
And that she's living a happy life, The last email she gave me, she was mad at me because I mentioned her boyfriend because he's like a famous guy in fighting, and I was like, he said something about not having any money, and I was like, you ain't got any money. I'm paying, I'm like, you say things, Jason, where that was not, you shouldn't have said that, you should have just don't mention her, I just did it again, right?
I know we're talking about her.
But I mean, look, okay, while I'm saying this, I do wish the best of them. I got nothing but love for both of them.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean anything mean by it. And it's also funny. I think that somebody sends her the worst part. Like she says something about, you don't mention like the nice things I do for you. And I'm like, I do mention the nice things you do for me, but nobody's telling you about that bit, you know? Because I don't have money to pay her. And she's like, you can pay me less until it's paid off. Like she's done things to help me. And I've mentioned that, but there's no way anybody told her I said that bit. No way. But those are the things where, old me would just be like, screw you. You're triggering me. I hate you. Now I'm just like, I try to stay. I don't want to be a part of it. I think it's best for both of us if I don't exist. To her.
Like just to stay out of her life.
Yeah. Like I don't think I don't want to respond. I'm not going to respond to her. Even if it was nice, I should just disappear. It's better for her.
My therapist told me that I used to reach out to my ex, or if I saw him, we'd try to like get a reaction out of him because I would get like a hit, like a high from it, and if I didn't get a reaction, then I'd get super depressed.
See, I think there might be something with all that, and that's another reason why. If I don't say anything, there'll be less. Why respond to me when you know you're not going to get anything from me?
Yeah.
And I really do sincerely mean, I hope the best for both of them. Yeah. I really do.
So, I mean, obviously, it sounds like your life has become so much better from becoming sober, specifically from Kratom. It started with Kratom.
Kratom was one of the greatest gifts I've had in my life because it was that bad.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to bum out people that do Kratom either. Like,
I will say when I put Kratom, my lifestyle completely changed for the better. Like I was very easily triggered. I was a very reactive person.
Yes.
And now like to deal with my anxiety, I had to learn other coping mechanisms.
Right. Me too.
So now I do hot yoga. Like that's one of my favorite things to do.
Having addictions to things that make you a better person.
Yeah.
It's still an addiction. Because like I box, I skate to the point where sometimes I'm like, you probably shouldn't. But I'm like, I got to go. I love going. It's like, you maybe take a day off. I'm like, yeah, but I will take a day off tomorrow. Sometimes I do that. But it is a way healthier version of addiction, if that's a possibility.
Yeah. I feel like I know that when people quit something, they usually replace it with another drug. Like you quit alcohol and then you replace it with Kratom.
Yep.
But I mean, do you want me to talk about like how people who are addicted to kratom and 7-OH and
Yes.
get
7-OH is a thing that has been brought up to me where I was already out of the game. And they were like, you're not talking about kratom, you're talking about 7-OH. And I'm like, let me Google that.
yeah.
I'm like, no, yes, that is worse, but there's also kratom
When
that
you're
is like
taking-
concentrated, correct?
Yeah, when you're taking concentrated kratom or mass amounts, even powder kratom, it has the same effect as 7-OH.
Right.
So 7-OH is only so kratom has 2 active chemical compounds. It's the mitragine and the 7-hydroxymitragine. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. So 7-OH is just the 7-hydroxy, but super concentrated. So like 1 tab of 7-OH they all kind of change in their dosage, but could be like 20 grams of kratom.
Okay.
Which if you were to go to the gas station and buy a bottle of kratom capsules, each capsule is a 0.5 gram, and their serving size says like take 2 or 3 capsules, which would be like 1.5 grams or a gram. It's either 2 or 3 capsules is the serving size.
Okay.
So 7-OH is definitely more addictive because you could take 1 tab and have basically 15 servings of kratom.
You're really
people
going to feel that too, right?
Oh yeah, it's truly gas station heroin.
Right.
So if you go take, so people are getting addicted really quicker and faster to 7-OH.
Mhm.
But so the DEA came out and they pushed for the feds they recommended that 7-OH become a Schedule 1 drug.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was
Has that happened or?
It hasn't become a Schedule 1 drug yet, but it will. I mean, it should be. It
Okay.
will be. Like if they make that recommendation, it will.
And then
be.
that would be stopped at the
So,
liquor
but then-
store or no?
So then at that level, it's like marijuana. It becomes state by state law.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, it could still. I know in Florida, I don't know why, but so I have Quick K, which is an all-in-one supplement to help people withdraw and recover faster from quitting kratom.
Yeah.
When this passed, when they made this recommendation, Florida then outlawed 7-OH, and it's off all the shelves in Florida.
That's cool.
Our sales increased immensely in Florida during this time.
Oh, wow, because nobody's got it and they're freaking out.
People are freaking out. But what was really disappointing was when they announced this, and RFK Jr. was up there telling his story. And
yeah, I saw that.
they had a lady come up and talk about how we're not going after kratom, we're going after 7-OH. Like 7-OH is the problem. And this lady talked about how she'd had pain for 20 years, had been prescribed all these different pain medications, and then now finally she has an herbal supplement that she can take, she can control, that manages her pain, and she wouldn't have the quality of life she has without kratom. So they had this lady speak while they're saying we're pushing to schedule or to make 7-OH a Schedule 1 drug.
Okay.
And I applaud them for doing this because there's really no need to have that much concentration of anything. Because like you take 1 tab and a kid can come go get this. Like some states don't even have age restrictions on who can buy this stuff.
Which is so crazy.
Most states will be at 18 years old. But
yeah, but even that.
Yeah. And so great. I completely agree with that. But then the problem is if you're not. And then there's all these Reddit forums. So I don't know if you were on these Reddit forums when you were trying to get off kratom, but they're like, just switch to this kratom or this like concentrated kratom or these gel kratoms.
Which is what I was on anyway, right?
Yeah. I mean, just different. I mean, people had different things that they were suggesting on these Reddit forums. But
Feel Free is concentrated kratom, correct?
Yeah, it's super concentrated. So, and that's the thing with Feel Free.
Personally, that's just
it says
bad.
kava, but the main ingredient.
Kava doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, but
yeah,
it doesn't.
But anyways, I mean, the disappointing thing was that some people can take kratom and not get addicted to it.
Yeah.
Like it's
some people can have a beer and not get addicted to it.
But the thing is I don't know if I would have had such a problem had I known up front that it was.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's the big one. And I think that's like, we should emphasize that a little more because I think we're talking about the dangers and the things that I've gone through and blah, blah, blah. But I think it's the lack of information. You're talking about, like, if you're an adult and you're listening, like, oh, look, man, I was on heroin, now I'm on kratom, I'm doing good. I'm to go to work and I got a back injury and I'm surviving on this stuff. Okay, great, man. I'm talking about 18-year-olds. An 18-year-old that doesn't know, he ain't got no back problem. He's just like, he heard he can get a little high at the gas station, and now he's ruined. Ruined.
So have you heard that, I mean, you probably know this, but like Gen Z isn't drinking as much alcohol.
Yeah, yeah.
You know how kids like used to hey mister for alcohol? They're now hey mistering to go get kratom products.
Right. They are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's a thing.
Yeah. So
yeah.
that's so that once you're in that, you know, as a guy that's like, look, I got a whole life here. I got to get off this. I could not get off it. And when I did, I've been on heroin. I've been addicted to meth. I've been addicted to ecstasy. I've been addicted to cocaine. I've got all the heavy hitters and I've got off them. Alcohol. You're talking to a guy who's drinking like bottles of whiskey a day.
Yeah.
I got off it. This was the hardest one. And it was at my older, more responsible age of my life so far where I was like, you cannot do this, Jason. You are ruining yourself. And I was like, I have never felt more like a junkie in my life because I was like, I would almost suck a dick for some kratom. Because I knew it wasn't even the high I was going to get. It was the pain.
Well, didn't it get to a point where like you really weren't feeling anything? Like you weren't taking
Just
it anymore
nauseous.
to feel good. You were taking it to feel not
comfortably
bad.
nauseous is what I would call it. Because I was on so much of it that I would just be like almost puking and content.
I mean, it did get to a point where I was like, I'm taking this and I'm not even like feeling good anymore.
Yeah.
But if I don't take it, I feel so awful.
I mean, that's what heroin addicts say.
Oh.
Where
Well,
they're
and
just
I will
like, to
say
stay,
also
to maintain is the word they use.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
We use, I should say.
I'm pretty well known in my community as like a very successful realtor. And I remember like laying in bed during these withdrawals and it's like, and like kind of tweaking. Like I feel like a meth head. Like, I don't know how I got here.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I don't know where I was going with the whole FDA thing, but it is a problem. And there are, so I would say if you're addicted, so I would say there's a couple things before you decide you want to quit is a lot of people, I took kratom. So after I had my baby and I stopped breastfeeding, that's when I went like gung-ho. That's when I was like taking 30 plus grams a day, every day, started not being able to sleep at night. And I would say those like first 4 or 5 months, I thought it was like the miracle pill. I was like, because I wasn't sleeping through the night because my baby wasn't sleeping through the night. I was like, I've got energy during the day. I feel great I feel great. My anxiety's gone. And then I realized like my brain just wasn't clicking. Like things that I knew I couldn't say. And I was super irritable. Everybody was just pissing me off. Like I felt like I was becoming a very angry person.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then it got to a point where if in the middle of the night I didn't have more, then I was having insomnia, restless legs. And that's when I went to the first doctor. And I was like, okay. So I think I started taking like progesterone. And apparently he said it would take some time. And then my mom said that she was concerned. And I was like, it's not a problem. Like, it's something I'm doing that, like, to help me. Like, I'm going through a rough patch of my life. I'm postpartum, like, it's helping me get through this. And she goes, well, just try to cut back on it. And so then I was like, hey, I'm going to go a full day without it. And I couldn't do it.
All right.
And then I think that's when it hit me. And I went to another doctor and I told him that, and all these Reddit forums like say take Suboxone. That's like what you got to do.
Yeah, I got offered that.
He laughed at, and I'm actually thankful he didn't prescribe it to me, but he laughed at me pretty much and said, I'm not prescribing you that.
Yeah.
I'll prescribe you gabapentin for the restless leg.
Yeah. Okay.
The gabapentin didn't help me. And then a couple more months go by, and at this point, like I really know it's a problem. I know I can't quit on my own. So I think it takes like initial period where people are like in the bliss and the high of it, and then all of a sudden they realize it's a problem. And I think it takes realizing it's a problem and then wanting to quit before anybody will actually quit.
Yeah.
Like you can't. I've had a lot of parents, because I have got the supplement company that helps people quit, and it's actually has helped a lot of people. Like I get messages and emails and all the time saying like your
When I
supplement
did
was the
reads,
turning
people
point.
hit me up and said it helped them get off it.
Yeah.
It
We
worked.
also had some people
Yeah.
ask if she could talk a little bit about what it does to help get off kratom.
Well, we're gonna get to that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So I think it's getting to the point of like I want to quit, and
Stay
that's
closer to the mic.
so it's getting to the point of I want to quit, and that's when I had a long drive one day, and I do listen to podcasts, and I was looking up like kratom, like how to get off kratom podcast, and I came across one called Kratom Sobriety. Great podcast. But I binge listened to 4 or 5 episodes, and every episode was somebody who had gotten addicted to, at this time, like 7-OH wasn't a thing.
Right.
Like nobody was talking about 7-OH. Like people weren't addicted to 7-OH. But there was a lot of people on it addicted to Phil Freeze. And I was taking powder kratom. Like I would just mix spoonfuls with water. And so I listened to probably 4 or 5 stories, and all of it was one girl went into over $100,000 in debt in 18 months buying Phil Freeze. One guy was drinking 17 Phil Freeze a day.
17.
He went from like 210 pounds, like he was kind of a bodybuilder guy, to
Yeah.
140 pounds.
My God, there's levels.
One girl, and it kind of, her story more resonated with me.
17.
Yeah.
I think the most I did was like 9,
Yeah.
and I was destroyed.
I mean, I don't know if he was doing 17 every day, but I mean, he said,
I didn't
Yeah.
even know. That's
yeah.
okay.
But then the one girl really resonated with me because like she was a professional, and she ended up going to rehab, and she goes, I never thought I would be this person like that ended up in rehab. Like she broke down to her mom, and they got her help, and because she couldn't quit it on her own. And it was that day I went home, and like I just, after listening to that, like I was like, I'm a new mom. Like this isn't the mom I want to be. Like I can't do this. And I knew at this point, like it's not my hormones.
Right.
Like, and so I went home that night, and I literally just broke down to my husband. I was like, and he knew I took kratom, but not I think he thought maybe like once a day here and there. And I broke down to him. I was just like, I'm taking a lot of kratom. I think it's like really messing me up, and I try to quit and I can't quit, and I can't take it anymore. And to my surprise, he really wasn't that surprised.
He had his thoughts that was a thing.
Yeah.
So how do you get to you got to quit? You quit. Did you make quick K for you to quit, or did you do it after it?
So I did it. I did start supplementing. So
when you were trying to get off it?
Yeah, probably
what's your background in understanding supplements to help you get off this stuff?
That comes after.
Okay.
So I did. So in all these Reddit forums, everybody's saying like, take mega dose vitamin C, take this and that, like for restless legs, take this, whatever. So I did start supplementing before, but not my whole regimen.
Yeah.
And then, so I went cold turkey that day. We threw out all the kratom I had. I had bags of it.
Okay.
Threw out all the kratom I had. That night was the worst night of my life.
Yeah.
Like because usually I'd get up and have more kratom, and I didn't. And so the next day I go to the doctor, and it was the same doctor. He goes, I'm not like, it's kratom. Like, I'm not going to prescribe you Suboxone. And he prescribed me, I think like naltrexone.
Okay.
And I took that, and I think you really have to like not have opioids or kratom in your system if you take this.
Okay.
And I felt like literally psychotic. Like I was going to go out of my mind like that next night, and I was like, I'm not going to take this again. So I threw that out. And that's when I really started researching supplements. And I bought $200 and some worth of supplements with like probably the middle of the night, just like based off of like what other people recommended.
Yeah.
And then, so I was taking supplements, not like really, I was just taking everything. I didn't really care. Anything anybody recommended. But what I didn't realize is after like the 5 initial days that went by where you're like physically withdrawing,
Yeah.
I went into like this super bad depression, like a depression that I never had felt before.
Mm-hmm.
And I was supposed to be getting, so this was August now, and I was supposed to be getting married in October. And like, I thought I was going to call off the wedding. I was like, I don't even want to get married. I remember my friends throwing me a bachelorette party. I didn't want to go to my bachelorette party. And I learned about post-acute withdrawal syndrome, where like, and then that's where I really started. I talked to a naturopath, and she was very educated in like your brain chemistry, and when your brain gets so reliant on having dopamine hits, and then you take away the dopamine hit, it's like your brain's not producing dopamine, and your serotonin levels are off. Like all your feel good stuff is like just not producing right now. And she goes, this is very common. Like even alcoholics, you stop anything that produces dopamine, this is going to happen. And so that's when I started. And she got me on a supplement regimen to like help boost dopamine and serotonin.
Yeah.
And then I started based on this was probably months after I got sober, because this was after my wedding. I was like, how is there not like something natural that has all this stuff in it that people can use to get off kratom? And really now, like looking at what the supplement does, and we'll get into it, is it's almost like a natural antidepressant with some good energy boosters, antioxidants, and then like a really good sleep aid that won't interfere with restless legs.
Okay.
So I actually still take the Quick K daytimes as like a natural antidepressant. And I use the nighttime formula if I feel like I'm not going to sleep well at night.
Huh.
So the nighttime formula, people struggling with restless legs should never take an antihistamine, and they usually do. They'll take like Benadryl or sleep aids to help them sleep. It actually makes restless legs worse. So does melatonin. And so a lot of things that people are taking to help them get through their nights are actually hurting them. I think even benzos, you're not supposed to, like benzos can worsen the side effects of restless
legs. I wouldn't take
legs.
them regardless, but anyway.
What?
I wouldn't take them regardless.
So anyway, so in the nighttime formula, in this, like, so the things that help me sleep are L-theanine and magnesium glycinate. Like, I know those help me sleep.
Yeah.
But then there's valerian root, passion flowers, and they're basically like calming agents. They help like just relax your nervous system. Japanese knotweed is a super powerful antioxidant.
Okay.
We actually took a metal into a bag of kratom. You pull it out and you can see the metal stick to it.
Oh.
So like if you're taking a lot of it, you're putting a lot of heavy metal into your body. And then the daytime formula is specific to, so when people go into detox centers, they usually get their blood drawn. And what they noticed is over 70% of people that go into these detox centers are low in vitamin C, vitamin D, B vitamins, and iron. And so when you're low in these nutrients, like it makes your symptoms worse and your withdrawals worse. So those are all like, people will comment on our supplement, say, well, this is just a super expensive multivitamin. But because we do have vitamins in there, like the vitamins that are super important for recovery that people are likely to be deficient in are in the supplement.
Okay.
And then amino acids are super important for your neurotransmitters and producing serotonin.
Yeah.
So there's L-tyrosine, L-theanine, and one supplement that I would like, even if you were to go buy one supplement for opioid withdrawals, I would say agmatine, because that specifically helps with cravings. It's cravings and pain because it hits the same receptors, but it's a natural you don't feel it like.
How'd you find all this?
Research, and this naturopath was super helpful. But then what I would also say is I got really lucky in the fact that the company that manufactures our supplement is a pharmaceutical FDA approved manufacturer, and they usually wouldn't take on like a small I'm a small business, small company. And they did because they thought like this formula would work. Their chemist did help me change it a little bit based on like amounts of stuff I was going to put in it.
Yeah.
There's 5-HTP in it that is really good for increasing serotonin. But they're like, I would cut down that amount because you have all this other stuff in there. And then what else is in there that's really important? I will tell you. So, the one thing that's not in our supplement that is so important, and we're trying to remake the formula right now, but it's hard to do without adding, because right now our supplement is a morning time and a day and a nighttime one, because there's stuff you should take in the morning, stuff you should take at night.
Yeah.
And there's such a connection between your gut and your brain health.
Okay.
Like if your guts,
Yeah.
like you could have depression, anxiety because you have bad gut health.
Right.
Like it's a whole system between your gut and your brain your nervous system runs to it, your vagus nerve, it's like your second brain. And you're like, when you have gut instincts, it's like your second brain talking. And so I learned this, it's been about a year ago now, that how important probiotics are to like your mental health and your mental and feeling good mentally is what's going to keep you from relapsing. Because there was a point where I was like, I feel like such shit off of this. Why don't I just keep taking it?
Yep.
And so if you get feeling good mentally, like you haven't won the battle, but you're getting closer. So that's kind of how Quick came to be about. But I will say I did do a trial. So I created this formula, and before I went to the manufacturer, it was my best friend's husband. And I became pretty vocal on my social media, just locally, about how addictive kratom was, because I was taken off guard by it. And I felt like it didn't ruin my life, but it could have. And it was kind of shocking to me, the people that came out of the woodwork saying that they also had a problem with it. And one of them was my best friend's husband. And she didn't know about it.
Oh, wow.
And he was actually a recovered, he got addicted to oxycodone after he had surgery, that he went to rehab. She almost left him during this time. 10 years had lapsed, and he had one of those feel-free drinks. And I think in less than a year period, like he goes, I can't quit. Like, how did you quit? And I said, I'm coming up, like, I've got this supplement regimen, like, will you try it? And I was like, and I also know, like, can you kind of start tapering a little bit? Because a lot of it, like amino acids, the thing about supplements is it's not a miracle pill. It's not going to be like heroin or coke or kratom, like where you take it once and you just feel a difference. Like amino acids take about 3 weeks before you really feel the benefit of them.
Oh, okay.
So what we recommend is, you don't have to, but what we recommend is kind of like slowly tapering off your dose. But if you taper any amount that like you feel the withdrawals, then you're tapering too fast. Like then it's pointless. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah. If you're taking like, let's say it's so with like 7-OH tabs, like we tell people literally like shave, like just take a nail file and just like shave a little bit off of each pill.
Yeah.
But just kind of get your body prepared that you're cutting back. And then at the 3-week mark, then you can go cold turkey. And you probably still will have some withdrawals, but they shouldn't be as severe.
Right.
And what it will really help with is either avoiding the post-acute withdrawal syndromes, like because your brain is, all that stuff's already there helping it rebalance itself quicker.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Quick K.
Man, this is almost depressing.
Why?
Because I did it such the wrong way.
Well, that's what I said. Like when you told, like, and people, if you do quit and something's not in your system, like you can have a seizure and you can die. Like
I almost did.
Yeah, you could have died.
Yeah, I know. I went to meetings and had people tell me they lost their husband. I'm like, what do you mean lost? Like he left you? He's like, no, he died. I'm like, what from? And they're like, kratom. I'm like, nah, that's not what that does. And they're like, I don't know how to tell you.
So
they're not here.
There is a mom who's very vocal that her son, who's younger than me, died from kratom. And the only thing that came back in his toxicology report was kratom. But what everybody says online is people don't die from kratom. They die because there was other drugs in their system,
Yeah.
which is
I-
very common for
I heard that.
anybody using any sort of substances, that they're taking multiple substances. But there are reports of just kratom being the only thing in toxology
Yeah.
reports.
And that shouldn't be the argument as to why you would keep doing it anyway. Like it's just more if you want your life back. I've got sober from everything, and I think everything affects the body. TikTok. I think everything affects the body a little bit. I think if you eat pizza every night, if you're a fast food person that eats fast food every day, you're not the best you can be.
No.
And I think some people are like, well, I don't really need to be the best person I need to be in life. And I'm like, you sure about that? Like, there's only one shot you get. Why not be the best you can be? Why not give it a dabble? Like see what it's like to be the best you can be. And if you do it for a couple of years, you go, you know what? No, I kind of like pizza, Jason. Then go back to it. Great. But when it comes to these kratom, feel free, it's just, my biggest problem with it is just looking back and going, I was not there to make decisions that I have to live by for the rest of my life. There's no turning back the clock. Like what I have done to hurt people, whether they've forgiven me or not, is beside the point. Like the job, the work, the parenting, the partnerships, business, love, all of it. There's no I don't get that back, and I was not all there. And some of us have bigger holes to fill and use different things to fill it. And when it comes to these ones, I feel like people know, if you have Taco Bell 4 times a day, you know what you're doing. But I don't think people know when they're like, man, it's a supplement, it's like, it's an herbal supplement. I'm like, it's not, it numbs you from everything in life and it makes you not who you really are. And I don't know too many people that they're not really who they are and that made them better. It's usually a shittier version of you. And that's how everybody perceives you for the rest of your days, is a shitty you. And I'm like, is that worth it? Because as a guy that has lived that and now living another life, my hardest thing, that's why I go to meetings all the time, is to deal with the constant awareness of the mistakes that I have made. That's the hardest bit of my existence.
Do you think
now.
that like keeps you sober? Is that a healthy thing or a not healthy thing?
Man, it's I would say it's less healthy than healthy.
Yeah.
Because I think
I was like, I don't.
when
see
it
that
comes to
doing
being
good for
sober, I don't have a choice. Like I love being sober. I love that my brain fires off in a way. Skating, I'm older, I'm slower, I'm not as good, but my brain works better than it ever did. Again, I go, this is the addictive personality. I go, man, if you weren't high when you were young, you would have been like the best guy, not like the top 10 guy. You would have been in Tony Hawk's game, not a hidden character. Like those thoughts run through my head.
When you were skating, were you high? Like,
oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's in my material where I'm like, I was top 10 in the world and I was the only person top 10 in the world that had a bag of Coke in his pocket.
Wow.
Because I did. Yeah, I went really hard. But that's, the pain that I loved not being in my own head more than even when it was good. But I was raised in a way where you win and then you get high. That's your trophy. You win and then you drink a lot, because drinking that makes no sense. I was raised that way.
That's how I was too. I was a
didn't
very bad
realize
binge drinker.
Like somebody that has a beer at dinner, I'm like, what's the point?
So I know that you did ayahuasca.
Yeah.
What did you get out of did that?
I got off
help you?
antidepressants.
So
I was on antidepressants.
So you were.
I am no longer on that.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. So that was funny. I quit my antidepressants to go do ayahuasca.
Yep, me too.
But I think that was a mistake. I mean, I got I got a lot out of ayahuasca.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm forever a different person for it. I knew like when I did ayahuasca, I was going to be like a healer. And this was 5 years ago. This was
There you go.
March of 2020 in Ecuador, right before COVID hit. Like I did peyote, and the next morning, and they said you got to go because
wow.
it was.
Yeah. It's funny how they pull you into the one medicine gets to the next one. I kind of think I had that too. I think I did the same kind of thing. DMT into ayahuasca.
But so now, after like all my research, what I learned is that you shouldn't. And I've been on antidepressants since I was 19 years old.
Okay.
And so from 19 to 29, because I was or maybe I was 30. So when I did ayahuasca, I was on them. Nobody once told me that you should taper off antidepressants.
Oh.
Especially if you've been on them for decades.
Yeah.
Because it does the same thing. Like your whole brain is
Did you get brain zaps? Because I got that.
I just remember like coming, like I thought like I was so stoked on life. Like after ayahuasca, I was so excited to get home, start living. Like I was going to quit real estate. Like I was going to live this whole different life. And even that COVID, even knowing COVID and like we had this shutdown, and I was like, this is perfect. This like gives me time to restructure.
Yeah.
And then like I went into a huge major depression, and maybe it was COVID, maybe it was, but everybody, there's this, I think her name's like Laura Delaney, talks about how like everybody says, oh, they're off their meds. So like if you try to get off like a psychiatric medicine, it's because usually is because they didn't taper and their brain is just firing off all, I don't know.
I mean, I tapered.
You did taper your antidepressant?
Yeah, before I did the ayahuasca, I tapered for sure. I didn't just take it. Oh, I couldn't have done it.
Oh, so nobody told me that.
Right. But
and I wish I would have known that.
I would have got more out of the medicine if I wasn't a user of drugs and alcohol. Because as soon as I got off the medicine, I got drunk and started smoking weed again. And that numbed the medicine's work.
Yeah.
The medicine did work still, but didn't do as much work as it could have. Like, I think if I was to do it now, it would be a whole nother game. But I just know from being sober and
you don't want to do
sitting with the pain, I mean, it's a longer, more painful process, but I've done it. I put in the work every day. I put in the work. I struggled today. I had some stuff that happened today where I was like, this is getting on my nerves, man. And then I started to like, it doesn't matter. It's in God's hands. There's nothing I can do about any of it. I could die tomorrow. I got today. Make the most of today.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about Facebook selling tickets. Not being cool, not being cool. It doesn't matter. Comedy. I'm doing better than I've ever done in comedy. I can't get a spot at the Comedy Store. I'm like, why not? Why not me? And I'm like, there it is. I hear the voice. And then God tells me. Because that's the other thing. I talk to God all the time. And it's like, dude, relax. Like, even if you are a regular at the Comedy Store, that's not the whole, like, that's not going to fill it. Like, it's not what it's about.
That's not going to make you happy.
Just do the work. Just enjoy the work. Enjoy the bad day, So
when God talks to you, are you meditating or you just...
I pray a lot. So usually I get in a 3-point stance, and when I get in a 3-point stance, the answer to the question usually happens before my knuckles hit the ground.
What's a 3-point stance?
Like football.
Oh.
Yeah. It's weird because I don't play.
That's how you pray?
Yeah. I got it from my sponsor's sponsor. He told a story once. He was like, I guess he was a football guy when he was a kid. He's like 74. He's jacked. He's now my sponsor now because my sponsor passed away, had a heart condition. And he's like, I get up in the morning, I get in a 3-point stance, and I pray to God, and I get fired up because today, I got today. And I was like, I don't know why, but it was back when I was like really dark. And I was just like, this guy is pumping me up. He's like, because that's what we fucking got, man. It's today. That's it. You're pumped up for the day. Like, we're very, we don't realize how fortunate we are. It was right when I was trying to date people. I was like, I don't want to tell people about my past. And he's like, people don't need your past. You don't owe them shit. You are who you are today. What you were yesterday, that's a guy that's gone. That's no longer who we are. You can 3-point stance, get fired up. And
he sounds like a good sponsor.
He's a fucking awesome dude. So I just live like that. And that's a thing that I've just noticed now when my knuckles hit the ground. It's like, here's what you should do. Because sometimes it's not what I want to hear, and that's why I know it's God. I don't think it is. I know it is.
Yeah.
Because there's people don't want to do stuff. You know, how do I get big, Jason? How do I get jacked? How do I get good at skateboarding? How do I quit
It's all
kratom?
hard work.
How do I quit alcohol? Like, how'd you get off the weed, man? How did you like get so? How do you like hold down a job? How do you get your wife to? It's like you do the work. It's not fun, but if you see the fun in it, you know, you see the fun in the pain.
Yeah.
Nothing can stop you.
Yeah.
You know, like a bad day to me, when I'm thinking clearly, is a gift. I know it is. Because I'm like, make it through it. Make it through it with a smile on your face. And nobody can fucking touch you, dude. Nobody. You know? Don't buy my ticket. Don't download my show. I don't give a shit. Don't love me. I love me. I'm a good guy. You can count on me. Anybody needs help, you DM me and I will help you to the best of my ability. If you're there to just tell me that I'm awesome, I'm probably not going to say anything because it doesn't matter. If you're there to say I suck, I'm probably not going to respond because it doesn't matter. And you can take that any way you want. That's you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I got to go.
Okay. Thank you.
Quick K. Check it out, people, if you're looking to recover. I did not know about the other stuff because you're talking, as you can tell if you listen to this episode, I don't listen to people. I just suffered in the most uncalled for manner ever.
Very dangerous.
But I don't know.
Yeah, but you got it. I mean, it's
I
what you
did.
needed and you're here and now you're helping others.
Right. That's it. But I'm not recommending doing it this way. Use Quick K. Get help. Take advice from people that have actually done some work. White knuckle. Do not white knuckle. Do not white knuckle. Don't do that. So, Quick K. Do I have a code? Like, can I help people today?
Oh, yes,
or
you do.
is it Jason 20 or
It's Ellis 20.
Ellis 20?
All
that's what-
caps. Yeah.
All
20,
caps.
20%
Ellis
off.
20, which would mean 20% off Quick K.
Yeah.
So if you want to get it and you have a bunch of other supplements, I see.
Yeah. The Quick K is the main one. Like, that's what you would buy if you're
Okay.
withdrawing. If you're just dealing with restless legs, then we got that. And then I made Zen because I deal with anxiety and it's got all the calming agents like valerian root, passion flower, magnesium glycinate. So the one that you would want if you are trying to get off a substance would be the combo pack.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks for doing the show, Emily.
Thank you.
If anybody wants to see some more Jason Ellis show, patreon.com/Alice, mate. We're actually about to do a live show after this. Don't die.
Thank you.